So we go from outer space to inner space. My talk is on our soul. What else is there to talk about? In my opinion, how else can we spend time and space together than talking about the soul? So my question for all of you is, who's been stressed in the past year? Stressed. Emotional stress, physical stress, right? Illness, headaches, stomach aches, spiritual stress, spiritual confusion about your role in this world, mental stress, worry, anxiety. Okay, what about the past month? Who's been stressed? What about the past week? What about today? Okay. So my question for all of you, my question for all of us is, in this modern day busy world with so many pressures, how do we connect with and stay tuned in to our souls? How do we keep coming back to regenerate, to refresh ourselves, to be tuned in all the busyness around us? So there's a lot of excitement in the world. Of course, we live in this beautiful modern world, and there are also so many distractions. I'm constantly checking my cell phone, my email. Who else is doing that, right? Texts, emails, cell phones. And we live in a world here in Los Angeles where nature is also being bulldozed and pushed further and further away from us. And so things that once kept bringing us back, historically, in evolution, we were always living in nature. And now we're in a world surrounded by maybe some trees planted in the middle of the concrete. But what we're really surrounded by now is our modern day work world, our busy world. So in all the excitement and in all the stress that we partake in, how do we tune back in? So right now, my question for you is, where is your breath? Where does it go to? Are you breathing to here, 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 diaphragm? Just put your hand where your breath is naturally going. Okay. So breath is a barometer for anxiety, for depression, for stress. Why? Because when we're anxious, when we're stressed, and when we're depressed, what I see in my patients day after day, the breath becomes shallow. When we're relaxed, when we're on a beach in Tahiti, when we're on vacation and we're not worrying, guess where our breath is? Diaphragm. A lot deeper. Full breaths. That's what relaxation is, full breaths. When we're uncomfortable, when we're struggling, you might notice your breath gets shorter. So last week I was with my friend. She had a 7-day-old baby I was visiting, and she pointed out to me how the baby's breath was going only into the diaphragm. Unlike us, our breath was probably up here, which is like many of you pointed to. The infant, babies are born with a breath full body into the diaphragm. That is our natural state of being, our authentic self, our state of relaxation. And then we get pulled out in so many ways, and the breath comes up. And what happens when the breath comes up? We become ungrounded. When our breath is up, it usually means that we're more in our mind, that we're thinking more, right? Isn't that anxiety? Thinking, thinking, thinking. If we're not thinking, 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 are we going to be as likely to be anxious and depressed? No. Anxiety and depression stem from the racing of thoughts, the negativity of thoughts. And so to combat these, we can use the breath as a vehicle to tune back in, to recenter ourselves. And that is how we tune back into the soul, how we fold back into ourselves, to compassionately and lovingly counteract the anxiety, the stress, and the depression. So let's try this. So remember where your hand was. Let's go back to that. Where was your hand? Here, 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 here. Over here. Where's your hand? Where's your breath? So now let's move your hand 3 inches lower and breathe into it so that it rises and falls with the breath. What if you drop it 3 more inches? So now we're taking some full body breaths. It's really easy to connect with our soul when we're in places of worship, when we're praying, when we're in yoga class, when we're relaxing on that beach in Tahiti. But what about when we're stressed? What about when we're emotional? What about when we're working endless hours and we didn't get enough sleep last night? How do we connect back? So we can use the breath as a vehicle to soften. So can we take some full body breaths together? Maybe 3. One more. And can you imagine from maybe right here, a ray of light coming down through our crown, all the way down through us, light, filling our cells, filling our body, all the way down, filling us. So our body is filled with white light. Our breath is deeper. Does anybody in the room feel more connected to themselves, more in tune? So this is how, when it's madness out there, and sometimes it just really is, right? We all identify the stress. This is how we can fold back, and this is how we take care of ourselves, right? How many of you exercise? Take care of your body. What about our souls? How do we take care of that? One very easy vehicle is through the breath, to compassionately connect back. So say you're very anxious about a phone call you need to make. Maybe you need to call your boss and tell them something very awkward or uncomfortable. What if you take 3 compassionate, loving, deep breaths, full body breaths, before you do that? So what happens if we're breathing more deeply, if we're more tuned into ourselves? And I said before, maybe we're going to be less in our mind in the state of anxiety and worry. We're more tuned into ourselves. What happens when we talk from that place? We're going to be more likely to talk heart to heart, soul to soul. And what's the quality of our space going to be like? Maybe a little bit more relaxed, maybe a little bit more authentic, maybe a little bit more spiritually attuned. Why be spiritually attuned? What's the point? Why waste your time taking deep breaths on your drive to work, in your seat right now? Why waste your time connecting with your soul? Anybody? Anybody have a thought? Why spend your time? Because it keeps us protected in this world. When we're anxious, depressed, stressed, and we're scattered and we're worried, there's so many things that we can create, how do I say it, that we're not as tuned. When we're tuned into ourselves, our intuition is going to be stronger, and we're going to have a stronger sense of where to go, when to go, what to say, how to be in the world. So tuning in. So I'm going to leave you today with this, the opportunity to take deep breaths. It's free. You don't have to pay to get a massage. You don't have to pay for your plane ticket to Argentina. You don't have to go get acupuncture. It's at your fingertips. It's there every minute of the day, and you don't have to pay a penny. So next time you have trouble falling asleep, or you wake up in the middle of the night, next time you're stressed about an interview, you're anxious about a phone call you have to make, a few deep breaths, compassionate and kind breaths, to fold in, to compassionately connect with ourselves. Because if we're not tuning in, what are we doing? So, thank you.